The new Porsche Macan, the compact SUV from Porsche, would also be available with a 2-liter 4-cylinder, but here today it's about the 3-liter V6 bi-turbo petrol engine in the GTS version. You see, powerful, dark and of course special from the interior. And that Porsche Macan GTS is today in the full review on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. We're going to take a detailed look on the exterior, interior and the performance driving experience, and we'll also draw comparisons because there are a lot of questions here. First of all, does it pay off to go for the GTS version in comparison to the basis version? Because this one here is about 20,000 euros or dollars more than the basis entry version. 47k dollars, 55k euros, Germany and US prices. This one here way more expensive. What are the differences? Exterior and the interior, and what about the driving? And what about the other SUVs? You have asked me, Thomas, hey, what's your favorite SUV in this compact segment? Now, first of all, if price does matter and if price does not matter, Mercedes GLC, Jaguar F-Pace, Volkswagen Tiguan. We have tested all of the compact SUVs that came out new. Just the Audi Q5 is not out yet. We will draw the comparison. I will tell you later on what I think, what is our verdict also, where this car is situated on the market. And let's now go with the next Autogefühl episode here in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. Starting with the front, you see the Macan has, if you have the LED lights, this 4-dot LED daytime running light. This looks very impressive. And the GTS version, you hear the engine, by the way, still a little bit. Some processes also running when, for example, just the ignition is turned on. Here in the lower part, the GTS version is first of all black and a massive intake here in the front, a more stronger bumper. That is always the same case with the sporty models. And here what I think is very beautiful is they don't have too much elements. It seems very clean design in the front, although it's very strong. And you could also mistake it, is it a Cayenne or a Macan? If you just look at it from the front, it's not too easy to differentiate. 4.69 meters or 15'3" is the total length of this compact SUV. It's of course way shorter than a Porsche Cayenne, and you might think about, I want something smaller, especially for the city. That could also convince Cayenne buyers maybe to step down a level. It's still, pretty much the most expensive SUV you can get in the compact segment. What about the difference to the GLC or the Jaguar F-Pace? Well, this one is exactly in the middle as for the length. The GLC is 4 centimeters shorter and the F-Pace is 4 centimeters longer. But, not too much difference between those three then. The Macan starts with 18-inch wheels. 19-inch would be the standard with the GTS version. It also features GTS badge here, all in dark. Those ones here are the 20-inch optional wheels in a Spider design, which is my, that is Spider 90s style. This is really my generation as well. Although I personally prefer bright alloys, with maybe even some chrome style or whatever, but personal preference. Put me that one in the comments if you prefer dark rims or if you're more, silver, chrome style. But what you can see, contrasting red brake calipers, and that's also the scheme of a GTS. Dark style on the exterior, also here with the frame, not in chrome, again in black, and then some red contrast. That is really the GTS scheme on the exterior and will also be repeated on the interior. And there are, some coupes and classic SUVs This one here is kind of already a coupe. You can see it right here, which has a coupe form and also a falling roof line. Really resembles the Mercedes GLC already a little bit. Not exactly a GLC coupe, you have more space here. F-Pace also quite similar, so the side silhouette is not very unique, but again with the strong shoulders and the wrapped forms as a Porsche would look like, that everything is pulled tight, you can still realize it is a Porsche. What about the rear end of this Tiger? Because Macan stands for Tiger in Indonesian. So it's kind of also, when you think about the F-Pace, Jaguar versus Tiger. Nice one. My favorite part are the tail lights, because they really have a 3D design and still horizontally drawn. So this is one of my favorite parts here, and I think also if you think about the other SUVs, way more beautiful than, for example, the GLC, in my opinion. Looking forward to yours, of course. The GTS features a special exhaust with huge pipes, and are those fake? No. Well, the very outside part is a little bit thicker than the inside part, but this is still the real deal. No fake exhaust right there. How to open it? Well, you don't see any button here, but we will solve this riddle later when we take a look at this trunk. 500 to 1,500 liters will be inside there. We will show you that later in the interior part. And you have a GTS badge also at the rear. And what we'll also show you later on, you can put the car even lower when you have the optional air suspension featured right here. With the PASM, it's already 50 millimeters lower, standard with the GTS, optional then air suspension. And if you have an air suspension in the GTS, that's 10 millimeters lower than the usual air suspension. With exhaust and suspension, it's always very complicated with Porsche because there's so much to choose from. But we'll explain you more, of course, then also later when we drive the car. Very nice Porsche key fob, as we're used to, in form of a 911 basically. Open the car, and well, some also have keyless entry, this one doesn't. Door handles, very solid, nice door closing sound as well. Let's get into the interior of the GTS version, and wow, what a great styling with this matte aluminum in the structure here. Also look, and here it has really a matte feeling, very nice. And GTS is about Alcantara, and that's why this is my special interior. So we have Alcantara parts here, storage spaces right here, and reasonable space really. All of the window commands here for the side mirrors. Real metal here, of course, premium feeling. Macan GTS entry covers at the lower part, and then the GTS interior, which is black and Alcantara. Those ones are the two schemes. For example, you get Alcantara on the inside of the seats, and well, you can also go with basic seats, for example with the Macan, but more and more Porsches also realizing we have to give our customers more Alcantara. For example, we've seen in the Cayman that we have some more cloth choice for the interior and even artificial leather on the outside. Here, sadly, it's real animal skin on the outside. But at least we already got Alcantara on the inside, so that's, at least already some kind of compromise. The steering wheel, classic Porsche style, 3 gaps in here, very compact size. Those aluminum structures right here, and you have to put the key left next to the steering wheel. That's also classic with Porsche. And taking a seating position. It's a compact SUV. We have an upright seating position. Those sport seats, they really keep you tight. So It's not that you have a very open feeling like in other compact SUVs. This is more really the sporty setup. So as for the seating comfort, I think the Mercedes GLC is leading this segment. Here for the sporty seating setup, then you should go for this one. Electric seat control, front, rear part of the lower part, rear part here. So a lot of adjustments right there and easily controllable. The steering wheel is a manual control for up and down, also putting it more towards you or putting it more in, and also works in a very smooth way. That is very interesting. Definitely looking at those details and feeling those makes a lot of difference, I think, because when you have certain details that are not working that well or make a cheap impression, it always gives you a different overall feeling of the car. But here again, everything which is processed at a very high level as we're used from Porsche. Cockpit overview, told you all about Alcantara, so we got this nice ceiling in microfiber as well, such a great thing, and also the inside of the A-pillars overall, it creates really a very cozy feeling. Then you see a horizontal cockpit layout. Again, the typical Porsche scheme, they try to wrap everything really tight. A typical Porsche from the exterior is that you would use a wrap and really tighten it around every corner, and this same counts for the interior. Again, with a matte aluminum style. The new infotainment system, very well done. We will see that one in detail very soon, but you see here already is a seamless design integrated very well. It's not that we have, as in other cars, that it's like put up here. Analog clock inside the chrono package. And we'll soon also show you more details about the instruments. The steering wheel again very compact and also with high class shifting columns you could optionally use. PDK has here an automatic shifting. You just put it down, simple solution, and well, a lot of buttons here. That is really the question: is that really still necessary? Do you always need them? I don't know. I think it's good that you still can control the vents, although a turning knob would be more practical right here. But you see, at first sight, if you don't know what it is, it's a little bit overwhelming, but I will explain you the main functions here as well. And you also have some folding mechanism for CD or SD cards, so on, that is hidden right here. And glove box, standard one, not too big, but here also a nice cloth cover on the inside. Those details are, of course, you know, what makes a premium car. The armrest, also with a nice microfiber cover. You can put it a little bit to the front, hiding the beverage holders, or you can also flip it up. USB aux in 12-volt power supply, some more space here. Even with a holder for, I don't know, whatever. Then beverage holders, they're adaptive, and this is, you know, same as in the Audi. You do see some similarities with the Audi Q5. Then another 12-volt power supply, as who would smoke in this very expensive Porsche Macan? I wouldn't. Macan logo right here also as well, and again more details to that here soon. Instruments, classic Porsche in the middle, the big RPM meter with a digital speed, then on the left part the analog speed. Here on the right part you see that the air suspension was active to lower the rear part of the car. And you can see some driving data, consumption between 11 and 12 liters. Yeah, that's high. It's a performance car, it's an SUV. Still could be lower. Tire pressure you can monitor here. Then this is the all-wheel drive distribution. We'll talk more about that one when we drive the car. How much power is direct to the front and how much to the rear wheels. Chronometer, you can start it here. Then also the analog clock gets activated. We'll soon show you that as well. And you can also make lap times. Then going further, temperature information, radio, telephone connection, and a GPS view can also be put right here in the screen. Now what about all those buttons? Let's start here. Deactivate or activate the electronic stability control. put the car lower if you have the adaptive air suspension for a sportier ride. That automatically happens with the Sport Plus mode, for example. Then also the suspension gets stiffer. You can activate it with that button. Sport mode, not that aggressive as the Sport Plus mode. More about that when we drive the car. Other side, start-stop function on, off, exhaust tip. Then you can increase the sound with the exhaust. And here, this is for the lane keeping, S8 off-road, for the all-wheel drive distribution. If you go off-road with the car, maybe it won't happen that often. Then seat heating, 3 levels possible. It would flash when the car is running. Temperature control, first of all, starts with the vents, for example here now to the feet and to the upper part. This one here would be the middle vents. Temperature, nice clicking sound. This old school Porsche style. Vent strength, you can also put it to the sync mode and then both working at the same time with the left driver command. I found it more practical if you would have a turning knob. This one here has some special style, definitely. It will be a little bit different than if you check the all-new Panamera. In this case, and I still prefer that one. And some mandatory buttons right here. And for off-road, we also have a hill descent control button, for example, right there. I promised you one more look at the analog clock inside the Sport Chrono package here. When you start a lap time, always looks great. Put into another lap, for example, or what you can also do when you reset the clock, for example, then it always looks great again. Yeah, there it is. Is a nice detail, and when it's not really activated, it's, you know, just displays the normal time. What about the infotainment system? It has been updated, not like in the old Cayenne, for example. Here the seamless integration. Also, it works in GPS like a smartphone, and very good reaction times. It's really fast. I like that. Still, you got some hotkeys, for example, to go to the nav screen, to the map, back again, car functions, see the outer temperature with a nice Macan visualization, home, and such an app overview. So basically says everything you need. Phone, sounds set up, the navigation screen, and so on. Phone, you can either connect here with Bluetooth. That is one possibility. If I would have had my phone activated now, classic streaming, then we have Bluetooth. Or it's also possible, let's go back here further. Let's see here. System, for example, we can also set, let's look how it looks in English language. With a nice, well, it doesn't need any loading time. Really nice. Also great background visualizations they're using here. PCM display, screen brightness. You can adjust a lot of stuff here, whatever you want to do. And here, there you can see you can also connect it via Apple CarPlay, or also when you not have Apple devices but Android-based ones, that's also possible. We can show you that. Plug in the phone, and even though if you are in flight mode, as I'm right now, it still works. Accept. So allowed here on the phone. And there we go already. It's strange. I had some systems where it only worked when I'm not in the flight mode. Don't know, but here it's great. That is your CarPlay screen. You can also use your own GPS or listen to your own music then. Bose sound system we got here. Nice. Nothing very special from the sound system wise, but this Bose sound system is, let's say, overall a good result, not especially excellent as we've maybe heard with some other ones. Then you can always go back to the home screen of the Apple CarPlay, and if you want to switch back to the Porsche infotainment system, go there, and then you can see also an Apple CarPlay button appeared there. Again, same works also with Android devices, for example. What about the rear? I have the seat as I would be seating as a rather tall driver. Nice again that we got the microfiber also on the rear seats. So a good visual setup. Also at the inside of the doors we have again the matte aluminum inlets like that. Then let's get inside. And in an SUV you have usually more space as everyone is sitting upright. See knee space here with me. If you're not subscribed to Autogefühl yet, I'm 1,86 m or 6'1" in height. Enough knee space left. You see this back part of the seat also saves a little bit of knee space. And you can also put your feet beneath the seat. That works very well. Well, upright seating position here in the rear. Headspace, I would not go for a panoramic roof if I'm always driving with tall people in the rear, because here there's still enough left, you know, with 190 meters you could still sit here, but just if you don't have the panoramic roof. And that way the space is very well used. Of course in the Cayenne you have a little bit more space. This one here is a fairly good result. We have had other compact SUVs which have a better package as for the space, but this one here is basically, you know, satisfactory. And what else? Foldable armrest with adaptive beverage holders, nicely done. And then, well, I wondered if there was a ski hatch here, but it doesn't seem like that. You can flip the seats right there. Then it goes 2/3, 1/3. Yeah, there seems to be another release mechanism right here, so that is still possible. That one here creates an even transition to the rear, and shouldn't be too hard to find out how to flip that middle part here. Yeah, there is a mechanism. Found it. So, one here, and your ski equipment could go right in the middle. You could open the trunk with the key, or this is the secret button to press, because here there is nothing. Then flips up, and I have put the other 1/3 of the seats down, that you can also see this setup. And you know, well, you're a little bit limited in space because you see the roofline is going down. That's not too good for handlebars of a downhill mountain bike, I can tell you from my own experience. Also, you cannot flip the seats from here. You can easily remove the boot cover here. You can, you know, just basically pull it, remove the top first, good quality, then remove it right here. Well, then you could reach out here and flip the seats from there. So if you want to do that quite often, then you should maybe remove the cover here. But overall, if you know, not looking at the roofline, there's reasonable space in here, definitely. And also interesting, if you have the air suspension, you can lower the loading sill right here, or put the car higher again. I think at the moment, yeah, now it's working. Now it's going down, 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 down. Or, yeah, now it's a little bit lower, easier to load things in here. Fixations for tension belts are also available 4 times from a massive great quality. I like that right here on the right side. You can flip them up, for example. Nice quality covers here as well. And below, you could optionally put a replacement tire. Here they rather fitted the Bose soundbox. So what about the hood? And you know, maybe from a Jaguar F-Type inspired still by the E-Type, that the hood is opening the other way around. And this one here is another special way the hood is opening, because first of all it goes all the way to the front, and the headlights, you see, they have those gaps for the headlights. So something really special they thought about here, and I don't know, somehow I like it because it is unique. A very nice engine design for this 3-liter V6 in the GTS with 360 horsepower, 5.2 seconds, 0 to 100 or 0 to 60 miles an hour, 0 to 100 kilometers of course, with a bi-turbo here, the petrol. In the Macan S, one version lower, it's 340 horsepower, just 20 horsepower difference. Smaller petrol engine would be a 4-cylinder 2-liter, 250 horsepower, or bigger one, the turbo 3.6-liter V6 with 400 horsepower. And last but not least, there's also a 3-liter V6 diesel, the Diesel S, with 258 horsepower. What do they all have in common? The PDK, the Porsche dual clutch transmission. Why not? It works very well with Porsche, and especially with the Porsche engines and the transmissions, I haven't heard of any big problems with PDK. Smooth shifting when you're driving slowly, and very sporty appearance also when you drive faster, and it's just comfortable that you don't have to go for the manual. And Porsche always says that in the SUV segment, we don't think that, you know, we got this pure sports driver that want a manual transmission. You can still get it for the lower sitting sports car models, but not here. So let's see what performance we can expect here from this engine. Surely a lot, but also a lot of consumption. Hey. So, what about some inner city racing? Nah, of course no. We are very kind drivers. We won't do that. Of course, we also want to have fun while driving the Porsche Macan inside the city. And in this driving part, we'll tell you more about driving it in the city, countryside, and also the Autobahn. Look out for the famous Autogefühl Autobahn part, German Autobahn all the way. Also a part with unlimited speed, where we can see how much performance this 3-liter V6 with 360 horsepower, the bi-turbo, really has. Really looking forward to that. But of course, starting here with the city driving part, you can already profit from the direct steering when handling this car here inside rural areas, because it's also a lot of fun just to have a direct steering here as well. It is not a very light and easy steering as in other modern SUVs, because here they say, okay, we're still thinking about Porsche customers. They want it to have a rather natural feeling, so we don't have a totally soft steering wheel which you can superly ease around. But I think they found a nice setup to have a good, comfortable steering that is really direct from the commands and still transports this very natural feeling. Very nice, by the way, are those LED daytime running lights. And why I'm talking about those while I'm driving, because always, even at day, when you have a car in front of you and you see your mirror image in the car in front of you, then you directly see those 4-dot LED daytime running lights. Really beautiful impression, and yeah, star allures, where you can see, oh, that's my mirror image. I got so nice LED daytime running lights. You know, but that's of course one of those emotional factors. What else is important when running this car inside the city is, of course, the sound insulation. And it's really superb here. There is an extra in the price list, and I'm pretty sure it's also built in this test vehicle, because the manufacturers tend to put the test vehicles, you know, at very, very high specs. And therefore I tend to pick certain special versions which you cannot, you know, totally change around. Or I've always asked, well, do you also have a basis version? So told you initially, if you're looking for the basis Macan with a 4-cylinder engine, we will show you that one at a later stage. It will then be linked in the video description. So a superb sound insulation. It's really very silent in here. And I promised you also some comparisons to the Porsche Cayenne and also to the other premium compact SUVs which are leading the segment, at least price-wise. The Jaguar F-Pace and also the Mercedes GLC, Audi Q5 that's coming in a new version as well, BMW X3. And if you first compare it here in city driving to the Cayenne, yeah, you do feel that the Cayenne is a bigger car. It feels a little more superior sovereign. This one here feels rather a little bit more agile. So that's really the question what you want to have, and also how much space do you have. For German roads, you quite often feel more comfortable in this Porsche Macan compact SUV than in the full-size SUV of the Cayenne. Because you know, when it gets narrow, especially here in traffic, it can be a little bit more relaxing to have a smaller car. And you still already have this nice upright seating position here, which offers you a lot of comfort. However, you always have to be certain, if you pick a Porsche, you don't have the seating setup like, for example, in the Mercedes GLC. Even the AMG line seats are more open than those ones here. When you have those sport seats while driving, they get a little bit hotter in summer times because they're tighter, there's less air circulations. Although I'm really glad we got the Alcantara inside of the seats here with the GTS, which already helps us here in this hot climate here today. But you always feel a little bit, let's say, caged in with this sporty feeling. And that's really not a question of good or bad. It's if you like. If you say, I want this sporty feeling all the time, then it's the right thing to go for. If you think, more I want a relaxing compact SUV which has a lot of space and so on, then for example the GLC is the top choice for you. This one here, from the seating position, from the cockpit here, definitely one of the sporty choices. Although the overview to the front, there even the GLC offers more a hole to look through. So seats GLC more open. I would also say a little bit more comfort, but the view to the front is better here in the Macan. View to the rear, well, the rear window wouldn't be the biggest problem, but this rear mirror, it is very small, got those shapes here, fits to the exterior design, but you cannot see so much in the rear then. However, the sides, pretty steep windows, so overall a very good overview here, and you also have a better feeling of where the car is ending if you compare it to the Porsche Cayenne, as it's just the smaller car. This one here, already from city driving slowly, definitely feels like it would be the most agile SUV in this compact segment. So especially also the Jaguar F-Pace and also the GLC feel more tilting to each of the sides. Although I will still give another impression when we at a later stage test the GLC, maybe 43 or maybe the 63, so the true AMG versions, then this might be better to compare suspension wise to this Macan GTS, because we have definitely a lot of power. And also an F-Pace S, the petrol engine as the S version with a V6, that one we will also surely drive at a later stage. So a lot of news will always keep you updated at Autogefühl. Overall, comfortable feeling inside the city. You already got the sporty feeling, always conveyed by steering and also the seating position. But they found a good compromise. Very silent in the sound installation. The PDK, the dual clutch transmission, it's doing a smooth job. And also I've put the all-wheel drive monitor here on the right side, and that shows us this was a little bit power to the front wheels. Mainly the power is distributed to the rear wheels. That will change from time to time depending on how much power we apply. I will keep you updated with that also when we soon hammer the throttle for first time. We can also activate or deactivate certain driving modes. There's a lot here to switch around. I've shown you that in the interior overview earlier. Also with the special exhaust note button that you can also activate singularly. I will activate it now just to give you more sound, and we can accelerate from 70 to 100 as soon as we have the safe possibility to do so. Oh, it's quite hard in this traffic, but well, whatever. Yeah, I don't know, that was 75 to 110. Plop. And with the exhaust you also get a nice plop sound. And the thing is, with the all-wheel drive here, you got a very good acceleration, good grip to the ground, and still it feels very harmonic. So it's not like you're pushed towards the seats totally and you feel like, I don't really like that. Oh, this guy is a little bit annoyed by us now, it seems to be. That's German that's German Autobahn here, wow, with a trailer overtaking at the right side, although we are already driving 5 kilometers more than actually allowed. That's German Autobahn. People are always fighting and say, I'm the biggest king on earth. I want to, show off everything. Whatever. We keep driving relaxed, and that's it. And about driving relaxed, you can also use a cruise control. That is here the left column of the steering wheel. Put it to the front and the speed is maintained. You can get an ACC for this one here, adaptive cruise control. And there's also a warning when the car is braking in front of you. However, what I don't like is that this Porsche Macan does not feature an autonomous emergency brake. And the philosophy behind that is a little bit, okay, Porsche customers, they want maybe less assistance systems, keeping all the way in control yourself. But I think that's the wrong way. Because, well, some maybe lane keeping assist, something like that. Maybe that's right. Here no ACC, by the way, it's just a standard cruise control. But as for the autonomous emergency brake, that has nothing to do with, being a proud Porsche driver and keeping yourself in control. You can be a proud Porsche driver and maybe get distracted by the infotainment system or what else, and then you maybe need the autonomous emergency brake to save your precious Porsche from an accident. And yeah, so I don't think they should, leave that option out. It should be standard with every new Porsche, definitely. We'll soon also get to the part of the Autobahn where we can really hammer the throttle. Here, for example, keeping it 100 kilometers an hour, I'll now deactivate the exhaust note button, so we're rather silent. So the good thing about this compact SUV is, although it's a very sporty one, you can drive it very silently. 100 kilometers an hour, now going slightly uphill, about 2000 RPM for this V6 engine. It will drop down a little bit even more when we're not going uphill anymore. And that is like, yeah, we're reaching that peak now. And as soon as we're going downhill a little bit, here dropping below 2000 RPM, and we'll get off the motorway that we can show you a better acceleration, kind of almost from standstill. Brakes, yeah, also working very well, as we're used to from Porsche. Can be really a very silent and comfortable car, but if you want to really force the issue, no problem, always possible. This was the normal driving mode now. There's also a sport driving mode that automatically, you maybe heard it now, goes down in the shifting, in the gears, and also takes them further apart. Oh, a very old 911 in front of us. And Sport Plus, even further, and then the suspension is stiffened up, and also the exhaust note is activated already in the sport mode. And when I hammer the throttle right now, let's say 52, whatever. That was 52,200. Very nice, and it gives you such a comfortable feeling. Also here at high speeds now, at almost 125 miles an hour, when doing a lane change, the car is so sovereign. Everything is so easy to control, even at the higher speeds. Even the sound installation, I don't have to raise my voice that much, even at 180 kilometers an hour. And also in the Sport Plus mode, cars very well to control. I had to concentrate on the road, but maybe you scroll back again this acceleration and check the all-wheel drive monitor. What happened when I really hammered the throttle? That is also very interesting. I couldn't look at it myself because I had to concentrate, but we can discuss that later again in the video. Here at the dry roads, of course, always more power is directed to the rear wheels. But when there's a red road, cars really, there's slippery ground, and also more torque is directed to the front wheels. And the interesting thing is, this system is totally flexible. It can really go like the split 0-100 or 100-0. So that works both ways. Really, really impressive, definitely. So that was also Sport Plus mode. The suspension is still okay. And you can also deactivate it, going for suspension comfort again. And it's still perfectly fine. And with the air suspension we have mounted here, the Sport Plus mode also puts the car a little bit lower. And suspension is really a topic on its own with Porsche. This Porsche Macan starts with a normal suspension as you would just have it in any other car, basically, which is a little bit stiffer in a Porsche already. Then optionally, or comes with the GTS version, the PASM, the Porsche Active Suspension Management. That is an adaptive suspension that reacts on the road situation, if you drive faster or slower. And then optionally available, you got the air suspension, which is special in the compact SUV segment. You don't often have that just in the Mercedes GLC or here in the Porsche Macan. And we also have the air suspension right here. And the funny thing is, a lot of times when you have air suspension, it's superb in comfort, but it feels a little bit, like riding a flying carpet, which is great for comfort, but not so good for sporty riding. Here, if you would be told, drive the car, it's no air suspension. You say, yeah, you're right, it's no air suspension. You don't really feel it's an air suspension here. But what's the effect of that? They've made the air suspension relatively stiff, but at the same time, you're riding a stiff car with a suspension which conveys good contact to the road, but you always have a comfortable ride even in sporty situations. And that's the really special thing about the suspension. Oh, nice. Here when shifting down, when you're in the Sport Plus mode. I'm sure it also already works in the Sport mode. I'm not that sure about that. So the car is initiating a throttle blip then when it's shifting down. Turning circle, I've seen better ones, but still okay. And also a big advantage if you compare it to the bigger Cayenne smaller turning circle, because also driving wise, there might be some customers who say, I'm a Cayenne customer, I like it, but I could also have a smaller car that's better for my basement garage, and there's enough space here already inside. Maybe it's also a little bit cheaper, although it's very expensive for a compact SUV. I just go for a Macan to have a more agile ride than the Cayenne. It's a perfect reason why not. Let's see, when I go in Sport Plus mode, and it's not doing this throttle blip that extreme than in the Sport Plus mode. Yeah, you see here, Sport Plus mode, the throttle blip is also here. Sport Plus mode, you see the gears are turned up to the maximum. Not always in the red regions, but when you really hammer the throttle, it goes in that direction. So you can really set your Porsche up as you like it. Most of the time you just leave it in the normal mode, because also in the normal mode it's perfectly comfortable and sporty at the same time. You can just leave it. Sport and Sport Plus is just when you want to play around a little bit with the car, maybe. Not sure how often you will really use that. If you're a Porsche Cayenne or Porsche Macan customer, please leave us your feedback in the comments. I would really be looking forward to that. How often do you use these modes? I can show you that once more when I accelerate now from 80 to 200, just in the normal mode. Let's go now. That's it. And where the basic difference was not that the acceleration was so much worse, it was more like the sound because the exhaust note was not activated. But I can also, activate the exhaust note on my own. There it is, activated. And when I accelerate, then you feel more difference in the sound. Yeah. Is there difference in the sound when I'm in the Sport Plus mode? Let's see. Beside those throttle blip going down, accelerate again. Safety first at Autogefühl. Yeah, you get a little bit of a sound difference because the RPMs are turned up higher. That's the main reason, but the exhaust mode remains the same. So impressive that also at high performance this car is still very comfortable to drive. It's also one of the main reasons to go for Porsche SUV. Who would have imagined 10, 15, 20 years back, or even further, that Porsche at one time becomes mainly an SUV manufacturer? And it's the truth. They're selling more SUVs than their traditional sports cars, because more and more people think, yeah, I really love Porsche because of the throttle blip, for example, but I want a more comfortable car, and a sports car is not always as comfortable as I would really imagine it. And I think that's a perfect reason, to go for this car. My main reason to go for a 911 or a Boxster would be that you can get it as a convertible versions. But if you're just thinking about the closed versions, I've told you about that the Cayman is probably the best Porsche to buy if you think about what is the true Porsche DNA. But if you think about where you get the most comfort and sporty feeling at the same time, then probably this one here is the best Porsche to choose. Because it's not that big, still very agile, feels like a sports car although it's put higher, and you got way more comfort in the seating position than in a sports car. So here I get no fatigue in the lower lumbar area, which could easily happen, for example, with a smaller Cayman over time. So that is the main advantage with the Porsche SUV now. And always when you're driving, you're realizing more of the emotion details. Like you're looking at the analog clock, you're looking at the Alcantara cover of the A-pillar here. That is something you always enjoy while driving. And by the way, as we did the latest acceleration here now, I also looked at the all-wheel drive area here. And the interesting thing was when I was really hammering the throttle, and that explains why this acceleration feels so harmonic. Maybe I could have seen, and if you didn't really see it, scroll back again and closely look at it in Full HD and full screen and in full length. It was almost 50-50 front and rear. Yeah, still got the Sport Plus mode activated because it's not that uncomfortable. So 50-50 almost the distribution front and, thanks, it was green here, front and rear tires, or our axles. And that's really interesting. So to get more power to the ground, you can really use this all-wheel drive. And it's a basic trend among modern sports cars that you're going for this all-wheel drive systems. It just makes sense because not everyone is like an experienced racing drivers. Those cars get more powerful and powerful and powerful. And it won't change with electric drives because they are also powerful. And if you just have this power at the rear axle, maybe the rear is just sliding out, or the electronic stability control always has to work against it. It doesn't make too much sense then. So you rather keep it in all-wheel drive direction to be able to control this car very, very well. Does the GTS version make a big difference if you compare it to a Macan S? Power-wise, well, those 20 horsepower, whatever. The GTS is more about the styling, the package with those Alcantara seats we have here, and also the, let's say, evil exterior, the darker tone. That's more special about the GTS. Everything else you can, also equip with the S version. Power is not that huge of a distance. If you maybe not remembering it, 5.2 seconds 0 to 100 kilometers or 0 to 61, 62 miles an hour. That was the acceleration figure. And even if you think about getting the turbo above that here, I think that doesn't really make sense. This one here is a good pick because the turbo, well, it features a 3.6, 3.4. Yeah, so a little bit more displacement even in the engine and a little bit more horsepower. But you cannot get the acceleration so much lower then. But the turbo is way more expensive. So as I see it, the turbo version is more again like, you know, I don't care about the money. I just want the top sports version. Getting to the normal mode back again here now. But here the GPS is still a nice choice, you know, between already a lot of power but not going for the highest version. And I also feel that if you think about how the car will be evolving, a Porsche GTS version is always something special. And to me, I'm not sure, you know, what if you share this opinion, put me your feedback to that one as well. I think a GTS version is always a little bit more precious than a turbo version. Although it has less power, it's, you know, something more special. Just what I, you know, conceive. So we've given you a lot of different aspects here in our driving part, but some small things are still missing. And that is our famous tunnel part, where we can hear the sound. We'll lower the windows, and also some agility part up the hill. See more about the steering, not about the total speed, more about the steering and the agility of the car. That one here is now to come, so definitely stay tuned. And what I can again stress is, no matter which mode you pick, you can combine sportiness and comfort with every mode. So we have some sports cars where the different driving modes don't make any difference, and then there are some other cars where you can hardly ride this car in the sport mode. It just gets so rough that you can only use it at the racetrack, and otherwise it doesn't make sense. But here they have slight difference between the modes. The biggest difference is definitely when you with the PDK, that the shifting is adapted to each of the sport modes. But everything else than that, I think it doesn't make too much of a difference. The sound maybe, but you can activate it on your own. Putting the rear windows down now, exhaust buttons, Sport Plus mode. What about that one here? Nice. So, if you think about getting an SUV, still want a very nice sporty sound, I think that works here. If you would hear that, you would say, oh, maybe is there a 911 coming or something like that? So no problem here. So if you want this V6 growl, you can have it. What do you think about the sound here? We're in the Sport Plus mode still. The air suspension lowered the car a little bit more, and our final and most fun part of the day will be our agile ride up the hill. There are some famous hill races you're thinking about right now, aren't you as well? Pikes Peak. Yeah, not quite, but close. Wow, such a nice sound already at lower speeds. A very natural feeling of the handling. Although we are an SUV, not an extreme curve tilting. You know, I said a couple of times, I'm not favoring German cars at all, but this one here is really a good example of very refined German engineering. We can say that even if we're not prejudiced in any way, you know, of what country a car is from. And we also know that a lot of parts of this car are not produced in Germany. So it's really a worldwide or European project, no matter of which car we're talking on. I would say enjoy some more corners here with me. And now the conclusion, a singular look on that one here, basis versus GTS, and also what about comparison, F-Pace, Jaguar, Mercedes GLC, Audi Q5, or maybe also some less expensive SUVs. Let's first start the exterior. Definitely you can see it's a true Porsche, even though it's an SUV, and I think they've managed to put a very beautiful exterior design here. And sometimes you can mistake it for a Cayenne as well. You only see it from a side profile that it's really a little bit smaller. Overall, I think they've done a great job. Also from the rear, I think it's one of the most beautiful SUVs, because especially with those 3D taillights. So I think done a great job here. The GTS version features those black elements. That wouldn't be, my favorite. I more prefer silver, chrome and stuff style. Of course, that is up to your opinion. And then for the interior, of course, as refined as ever. So a high build quality. The GTS interior features some Alcantara on the inside of the seats. That's very good for a sports car. Only makes sense to keep a good climate and also to save some animals. However, with the GTS package, as far as I understood the information I had, then the outside comes with real animal skin, and at least in Germany, when you go for the basis Macan, you also get Alcantara on the inside, but then artificial leather on the outside, and that would be the ideal setup. So in this case, I have to say, better go for the basis interior and then not for the GTS package, because formerly it was the case that only maybe with a GTS package, for example in a Cayenne or in a 911, you could get some Alcantara in India. That is changing with Porsche. They are really stepping up the game as for sustainability and new modern materials. That's good. Then from driving, this is the sportiest SUV in this segment. It's a lot of fun to drive the car. With the air suspension that is optionally mounted, you can have kind of both really comfortable driving and a very sporty driving. And it's really something completely different than in the Mercedes GLC. I would say the comfort king is still the Mercedes GLC in this segment. If price also doesn't play any role. GLC and Macan are also at equal prices. Depends on the version you pick, of course. Those ones are the most expensive you can get. The Jaguar F-Pace cannot really match the build quality, neither from the Mercedes nor from the Porsche. It has a great style on the exterior. Jaguar is always great with it, and also the sporty riding is also quite nice, but cannot match the one of the Porsche, for example. Interior space here is also quite reasonable. We have seen that one better, especially with SUVs that are a little bit less expensive. So if you ask me again, which SUV would you pick in the compact segment if you have, all the money in the world? If you have a sporty approach, then at the moment this one here. If you have a rather comfort approach, then the GLC. We'll have to wait what the GLC AMG version will deliver us then. And what about, when you care about the price, then the Volkswagen Tiguan is definitely still a very good choice, a new version, or also the Seat Ateca, even a better price performance deal. So that's, talking about my experience with the recent compact SUVs. And looking even more forward then, because soon we will show you another Porsche Macan review, then with a 2-liter 4-cylinder entry version. I'm not sure yet which interior we will get there, but I'm already sensing here, although it's a very expensive SUV overall, I think you will also be just fine with one of the basis version here, as I've told you, with the details in the interior, but also exterior wise, really looking forward to the differences there. And then the last brother here in this compact premium SUV segment, well, would be the Audi Q5, or There's also the BMW X3 that's also, so both are kind of due for renewal. The BMW are also great for the riding, for suspension, for the sporty ride, and it's comfortable at the same time. The interior refinement is not really keeping up with those products here. And the Audi Q5 will be soon there in a new generation, I think still this year, maybe later this year. What can we do to follow this development? Stay subscribed on Autogefühl and join us for the next episode. And don't forget to leave us your comment on this car and all the other compact SUVs we've talked about. I hope I could shed some light on your purchase decision here today, or also if you're just interested in this segment overall, then maybe we'll buy this car at a later stage, or just fan of this car. Thank you very much for watching. Tune in next time.